On July 5, 2026 in New Jersey, Norway will walk out to face Brazil in the World Cup round of 16. And before a single ball is kicked, the story is already extraordinary, not because of tactics, not because of odds, because of a name on the back of a shirt. Haaland, number 9. The same name that appeared on a Norway squad list 32 years ago at the 1994 World Cup in the United States, when a midfielder called Erling Haaland wore his country's colors and fell short in the group stage. His son was born 5 years later. And now, in 2026, that son, 25 years old, the most prolific striker on the planet, is walking out for Norway's first World Cup knockout match since 1998, in the same country where his father's World Cup journey ended. If you wrote that as fiction, a publisher would send it back for being too on the nose. Erling Haaland had one line when he spoke to FIFA before this tournament started: "It will feel like a dream come true." Not a press release, not a quote managed by a communications team, just a kid from Bryn, a town of 12,000 people on Norway's southwest coast, telling the truth about what it meant to finally be here. Today we tell the full story, the goals, the emotion, the business, and what this tournament actually means. For him, for Norway, and for everyone watching. Welcome back to the Celebs Mindset. Let's start with the numbers because they deserve to be said out loud before anything else. 16 goals in 8 qualifying matches. The best scoring record in the entire European qualifying campaign, double the tallies of Harry Kane, Memphis Depay, and Marco Arnautovic. Norway went 8 wins from 8, scoring 37 times and conceding only 5. They beat Italy home and away. They beat the Italians 11-1 in one of those games, one of the most surreal results in European qualifying history. They topped their group by 6 clear points with a perfect record, and in every single one of those 8 matches, Haaland scored. Norway hadn't been to the World Cup since 1998. A generation of Norwegian football fans grew up without ever seeing their country at the tournament. For Haaland, who has been public about the fact that getting Norway to a World Cup was his biggest goal since his international debut in 2019, qualification wasn't just a sporting achievement, it was a personal mission that took the better part of a decade. "Ever since I made my debut," he said, "my big goal has been to get Norway to the World Cup and Euros. It's a lot of pressure on me, but I like the pressure. I would put a lot of pressure on Erling Haaland if I wasn't Erling Haaland myself." That line tells you everything you need to know about how he operates. The self-awareness, the humor, the complete absence of false modesty delivered without arrogance. It's an unusual combination, and it's a big part of why he's become one of the most commercially valuable athletes on the planet without really seeming to try. Let's talk about the business because it's genuinely interesting, and it's built in a way that reflects who he actually is rather than what a PR agency would construct for him. Start with the foundation. Haaland signed a contract extension with Manchester City in January 2025, a 9.5-year deal, one of the longest contracts in football history, securing weekly earnings of around £865,000 when bonuses are factored in. His annual base salary sits around £27.3 million, putting him among the very highest earners in global football. His net worth as of 2026 is estimated at around $80 to $100 million by Forbes and other major outlets, which sounds enormous and is. And also suggests that he's actually been relatively conservative with his off-pitch spending compared to what his on-pitch earnings could have already generated. Off the pitch, the biggest single deal is with Nike. A 10-year partnership signed in 2023 worth roughly $20 million annually in sponsorship revenue alone. He also works with Breitling, the Swiss luxury watchmaker, and not just as a face attached to an ad campaign, he co-designed a limited edition chronomat collection built around dials cut from the Moenjoen-Alusta meteorite, which landed in Scandinavia. The decision to go that specific to anchor a luxury watch collaboration to something geologically rooted in his home region tells you something about how he approaches partnerships. He isn't picking brands that pay the most, he's picking things that have a genuine connection to who he is. He also fronts campaigns for Revolut, Marriott Bonvoy, Visa, and Budweiser, the major commercial partnerships you'd expect for someone with his profile. But even there, the pattern holds. He brings a specific quality to those campaigns, a genuine, slightly ridiculous, enormously likable personality that doesn't feel manufactured. The Budweiser Let It Pour World Cup campaign alongside Jurgen Klopp works specifically because Haaland's humor is real. The Visa campaign works because there's something authentically excitable about him that doesn't read as performance. His social media following, over 40 million across platforms, is genuinely engaged rather than just large, and individual sponsored posts reportedly command up to $100,000. But for someone his size, that commercial ceiling is actually relatively modest, which suggests he's been selective about what he puts his name on, rather than accepting everything on the table. Now back to the pitch, because the business story only makes sense in the context of the football story, and right now, the football story is extraordinary. In the group stage, Haaland scored in every match, brace against Iraq, brace against Senegal, in a 3-2 win that sent Norway through with a game to spare. He is now the third player in World Cup history to score in each of his first 3 tournament matches. He is already Norway's all-time top scorer at a World Cup, with 5 goals across this tournament, surpassing legends from eras before he was born. In the round of 32 against Ivory Coast, Norway were outplayed. Haaland barely touched the ball in the first half, 3 touches, 2 of them in his own half. Ivory Coast were better for large stretches, and then in the 86th minute, across from Sander Berge, a simple tap-in, and Norway won 2-1. It wasn't a spectacular goal. It was the kind of goal only a player with an obsessive, almost pathological sense for being in the right place at the right moment can score. He celebrated wearing a Viking hat he'd borrowed from a fan. Norway's first World Cup knockout win since 1998. Now they face Brazil. Haaland was clear-eyed about it when asked. "I don't care. We are through. They'll probably beat us and go on and win the whole tournament." And then, when pressed on whether Norway should be considered serious contenders, let's be a little realistic here, and let's be happy, every single Norwegian on the planet today. This is the part of Erling Haaland that his commercial partners have figured out and his critics sometimes still miss. The robot striker framing, the machine, the biological anomaly, the cold-eyed scoring engine isn't really accurate. The reality is a 25-year-old who grew up watching his father play in this tournament and fall short, who spent 6 years pulling Norway back toward the World Cup almost through sheer force of will, who wore a Viking hat after the most important goal of his national team career, and who then sat in a press conference and told the world that Brazil would probably beat them. He knows exactly what he is, he knows exactly what Norway is, he's been chasing this dream since he was a kid, and now he's living it, clearly, openly, without pretense. And the brands that have aligned with him have done so precisely because that combination, generational talent, genuine personality, no manufactured mystique, is rarer than the goals. By the time this match with Brazil concludes, Haaland will either have carried Norway further than they've gone in 28 years, or he'll have given every Norwegian on the planet a summer they'll tell their grandchildren about regardless. Either way, the boy from Brine made it, was Haaland's 2026 World Cup, his first, built on a decade of carrying Norway back toward the tournament, scored in every single match, the most emotionally complete story of the summer? Or does the weight of expectation that now follows him everywhere risk stealing something from the pure joy of watching him play? Drop your take in the comments, and subscribe to the Celebs Mindset for more breakdowns of the real people behind the biggest names in global sport. This isn't just business, it's human.